everyone. So another reading for today. This one was more about something I've never really come across. So I have where the nodes are connected to the nadir and the midheaven. It was kind of very interesting. I was very curious because there are certain parts of astrology that we learn on the way. Like it's still kind of like a process of, I guess you could say, remembering, but it's more like sort of understanding the energy of the archetypal energy, if that makes sense. So that was one of the things that I had to go through many parts of certain asteroids that I wasn't too familiar with, but it's totally okay. But there's something about the energy that was kind of like during the reading that was kind of like very curious. I was very curious about it, and just like wondering, And there's the ego trying to come in. He's like, am I doing this right, kind of thing. But I was like, so I just went with the flow. I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to go with it. So anyways, welcome to my channel. For those who are new, my name is Jose. I do work with over, 180 asteroids. So I like to often coin the term micro-astrology. That's why when you see the thumbnail about this whole thing, it is related to using asteroids. I use it in most of my readings. I don't apply to orrery because you don't need it for orrery. It's very simple. It's very direct. But the other disciplines or sub-disciplines of astrology, I do use them. It gives me very specific things. It's very cool. I kind of snuck in a little bit of a medical in this reading too, so that was kind of interesting too. But for the most part, it is tied to the nodes and purpose. And this one was kind of they were looking for something that was more meaningful and purposeful in their life. So we kind of got to that point where I felt like I shouldn't go too deeply into the details, like making it about, this is my experience and this is the knowledge I'm going to share with you. No, I try not to make it about that. It was just more like, what is it they're looking for? So which is a good lesson for me. So that's a good thing. So, and I do appreciate all the stuff that's been going on. So I'm really grateful for this reading. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But I think that's it for now. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the reading, and I'll see you at the on the other side. Thank you. Okay, so now that's recording. So you've had a reading done before, astrologically speaking, have you? Is this your first
No,
time?
I've never had. No, I never had one.
Okay, cool. Well, it's gonna get
Yeah.
a little detailed, very left brainy, but the way I see astrology is a form of divination that is pre-downloaded, like it's, especially with the research
Hmm.
I've done with asteroids. So I added to most of my readings,
Okay.
because it goes into so much detail. So
Yeah.
okay, you did say that your question was about your. Hold on, let me double check here. Now, what is it here? What are my biggest challenging themes that have made me consistent in my life? How can I best approach them? Okay. Past gifts. Okay. So, challenges, um, best approach. So,
Hmm.
okay. And gifts. Okay. So, that's why I looked into the lunar nodes. They're called lunar nodes, meaning they're tied to the moon. The moon represents
Okay.
the soul in astrology. So,
Okay.
yeah, so we're going to go through that one. If I get wordy, that's just part of the process. I try not to.
That's okay.
Okay, so cool. So I'll open
No
up your
problem.
thing here. And just for the sake of, I don't know if you're interested at all in it. I know you have your sun in Taurus, so you like to keep it simple. Right? So I'm still going to share the
Yeah.
screen, but although
Okay.
it's part of the recording, I'm still going to do it anyways.
Sure.
Okay, let's see here. All right. So, okay, so past life wise, I would say this is also tied to past lives. Are you aware? Have you learned much about? Do you know Bashar? You heard of Bashar?
Yes.
Okay, so he talks about
I don't know.
parallel lives is not past, present, future. It's sort of past and future. It's now. So they're parallel lives, not past, future lives, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I think you did the FTP program. right? I don't know if you're
I
going back
did.
into. Okay, so you know about Aaron Dowdy's revisioning. He often talks about Neville Goddard's revisioning process. How when
Mm-hmm.
you can access multiple different lives, and you can
Mm-hmm.
get that you can bring that to you and be like, okay, that's what I want. So it's like it's basically similar to that. So
Okay.
okay, so past life
Yeah.
wise, I see that you um, what is this with the hold on a second. What do we know about the first thing I see here is about it's like empowerment. Like you were very, I guess you can say. Let's put it in a more practical way. I don't know if you were like royalty of some kind.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, because it's showing me crowns, medals, and also precious metals. So, in past lives, one of your past lives or parallel lives, you were definitely like a motherly figure, queen or empress, royalty. You are you still the firstborn?
No.
No, so you
The
were.
third.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so okay, back in past lives you were okay. Um, so you were very gifted. You knew a lot of things. Very much, kind of very in. I guess you can say in control, so to speak. Um, in this life, how
Mm-hmm.
it applies in this life, the gift you bring into this life is, um, you basically know what you want. I mean, it's tied to your midheaven in Gemini. Um, and so it's at least with the it's showing me that how do you call this? It's I don't know. Do you ever have you ever worked? Are you in the medical field by any chance?
Um, Sort of. I'm a caregiver.
Okay, that kind of explains the motherly figure thing. Okay. Uh huh.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah. You probably worked with. I don't know if you've ever done jobs like with sponsorship or donations or um, light. I don't know if you were an inventor of some sort because it's Gemini, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking inventions might be part of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
sunlight as
I,
well. Hmm.
well,
Uh,
I have not, but I mean, I'm great at ideas. Like ideas come to me.
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So I think you're kind of also familiar with the speed of light. So very much scientific. You have sight and you have vision. That's one of your gifts, right? So
Okay.
premonitional abilities, psychic abilities. That's part of that. Um, I don't know if you worked in construction before or in past lives, something about multi-lane highways or a swimmer or some kind of like a builder, some kind of like
Mm-hmm.
there's something about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably a Pacific Islander. That's what it's showing me here. If you were an animal, you were like one of the largest animals. Blue whales, an African elephant or African bush elephant,
Oh.
a colossal squid, lions, mange, jellyfish. That's rare apparently
Mm-hmm.
when the animal reincarnates into a human body. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah. So there's a lot of gifts from the past that you carry to this life. You very high IQ as well, and also EQ. AI is something you're probably comfortable with already. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah. So that's one of the gifts. It's basically like you're this. You kind of pass it on to. I believe I don't know if you pass it on to your family or you at least know how to expand that into how to make money out of that. There's other
Mm-hmm.
stuff too. You're very here. I see here the asteroid Adrastea. So you're very committed to your duty or any sort of work you get into, especially when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to like family, or at least you've had to kind of balance that because
Mm-hmm.
we're talking in the life you have now, your North Node is the path ahead of you, and it's in Sagittarius. So usually what that means is if it's tied to your what's called the nadir or the imam kweli, it means that it's tied to your conditioned beliefs or conditioned core beliefs growing up.
Mhm.
Um, I see a lot of retrograde planets here, so it's showing me that there's a lot of, I guess, you weren't sure about where you were headed. I would say it's kind of happening now. This is probably why you're having the reading. Um,
Mhm.
because in the family you were kind of you wanted some kind of adventure, but I feel like it kind of it in your identity and how you want to show people. It's square to your ascendant, so that means
Mhm.
how you showed yourself to your family was kind of like, that's not what they saw. Because
Okay.
this was happening more on a shadow level. And if you're familiar with shadow work, because growing up in environments you were exposed to very probably spiritual people or could be also dogmatic. Um,
Mhm.
they were also kind of aloof. They weren't there. They weren't focused on details. They were just kind of like, whatever, we'll wing it. But that was
Yeah.
kind of uncomfortable for you. It's kind of like, why are you not grounded? Give me something that is actually I can put my hands on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was not a lot of sensuality, I would say. I'm not sure because Taurus tend to be sensual. You
Mhm.
like the easy kind of fun things and very earthly sort of things. You enjoy that. Your moon in Aries
Mhm.
shows though it's a little different. You're very curious about things. Um,
Mhm.
so, oh, okay. Oh, your relationship with your parents was very kind of unusual, or you're still transforming
Yeah.
through that, I would say. Um, So you have a lot of
A
Scorpio
little
quality.
bit.
Yeah, you have Scorpio qualities, both your sun and your moon.
Mhm.
So you're kind of secretive. There's a secretive about you, but a lot of your journey is
Mhm.
tied to transformation. And because you desire something different. It's very much
Yes.
like both your wants and your needs. If they're not met, it's almost like you go inwards
Mhm.
most of the time. And there's a lot of issues specific with your father. I'm seeing here square to Mars.
Mhm.
Anger. There's a lot of anger. It's good. I would say deep-seated anger, sort of frustrations,
Okay.
maybe, um, especially when it came to sort of like aspirations. Your father was kind of not there, so there's a desire for freedom for you, a strong
Mhm.
desire to be able to actually travel. You
Yeah.
want to travel. There's a strong desire for that, but to show people, it's almost like because of how you were raised or the
Mhm.
environment you grew up in, you wanted to show the world that I can do the little things and not to be so wishy-washy and indecisive. I just be here. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, that sometimes kind of brings you too much into the earth and not enough fire, not enough inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think feel like you get that a lot from your. There's a wounding here with pride and being your childlike self. Your Chiron is in Leo, so
Mhm.
but you can work through that by discovering your path. By when you relate to others, sometimes you doubt your relationship with other people, but expressing that clearly to other people and kind of taking that step to kind of because there's a shadow behind that. If it gets too easy or complacent, because you have your Jupiter retrograde in
Mhm.
Libra, um, sometimes you doubt your ability to grow, especially when it comes to self worth and money as freedom.
Yeah.
So you you have to integrate how to work with people where it's not too I just want to control it kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to work with people and balance that whole. It's you can expand slowly, you can grow slowly in doing the little things,
Mhm.
but at the same time have mini inspirations, mini
Mhm.
aspirations as well, right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but this will flow naturally. The path you have when you express your emotions also very clearly, specifically to you, or even your family, or who
Mhm.
you claim to be your family, or who will become your family, or your circle of people,
Mhm.
right? Because it's also tied to sort of your spirituality. There's a wounding tied to that. So this is probably why you needed this reading. Okay, so the gifts of the past, let's keep going with the whole
Mhm.
responsibility thing. Sometimes responsibility
Yeah.
can be, it's two-sided, like anything in this world, right? Um,
Mhm.
when you think about responsibility, remember it's not just responsibility as in duty, it is the
Mhm.
ability to respond,
Right.
not just react, right? So, because as humans, we do that a lot, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, we could go into the stuff you've kind of gotten into in past. You were, let's see here, um, because there was a lot of probably like ploys, or you were baited into things probably in past lives. I feel
Mhm.
like if it's tied to Athea, it's almost like you were, because of the way parallel lives work and how Dolores Cannon puts the whole like we have to experience everything, but at the same time how karma, so to speak, works, where in a past life we were this, and then in this life we want to learn what that was like. So we kind of play in this case what the victims felt, or the opposite, what the ones in control felt. So there's this dichotomy between the two, right?
Yeah.
So in the past life you must have somehow controlled somehow. There was a lot of like,
Mm.
you know, um, I'm not sure what that was, but I do see the asteroid Ate here. Ate is she is a daughter of the goddess of discord. So I can see her just returning of gifts and kind of being aware of what you did and what you don't have, kind of that kind of stuff. There's a sort of a
Mhm.
subconscious, deep subconscious feelings about not kind of belonging. There's fear, escapism, lawlessness, very a lot of
Yeah.
shadow stuff. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of deep, heartfelt abandonment in past lives, probably because of past lives. Um, so, taking that into account, you can. The gift behind that is to. Let's see here. There's just a lot of information out here. Being able to deal with the truth of the ego and its perceived lack, right? Unveil what's hidden. So, you know how there's always gift behind things, right? There's always.
Mhm.
But what do you feel is the gift behind this kind of chaos when you have so much like disparity and kind of being ostracized? What is the gift of that experience? What do you feel?
I think I would say a lot of chaos. Learning how to like, I mean, stability
Mm-hmm.
within myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been like kind of overarching theme in my life
Yeah.
with chaos and sort of how do I come out of it?
Yeah.
And it's all led to resilience.
Yeah. And it's usually felt kind of futile or inescapable, right? The inevitability of things. It kind of felt like that. So
Hmm.
women's rights might be a strong thing for you. Um, I don't know if you've ever chosen jobs where it's just like, nope, if I don't feel equal here, I'm not going to go into that, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so, but a lot of it's tied definitely to childhood trauma. The absentee parent is applying here. Um, let's see here. I'm trying to see if it's tied to any of the houses. One second. Oh, do you have any issues with like blood, your tongue, your hands, hearing, hair? Mm,
Um, well, with my hearing, I do hear a lot of ringing
So
in my ears.
tinnitus maybe. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Any.
and then with I'm not sure if it's like a tongue thing, but I recently got my braces taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt like I have a short tongue,
Yep.
and I've been quiet most of my life. I'm not
Uh huh.
really that like extroverted as
Yeah.
much,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have jaw pain now. I'm not sure if it's because of my braces. I'm actually gonna get that checked out. But definitely like pain,
Okay.
the mouth area.
I can see that your Saturn is in your sixth house. It often rules the bones, the calcium.
Mhm.
That I would say the teeth is sort of part of this one. It's in the anaretic degrees. Anaretic meaning the last few degrees of Aquarius here. There's something
Mhm.
tied. It's something tied to things that might be inexplainable, but it's also tied to the circulatory system.
Okay.
So let's see here. Yeah, it's tied to the circulatory system, but there could be like toxins, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to yeah. Your oh, I just noticed this. Chiron is square your Pluto, so there's something about toxic release. Do you do a lot of detox?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
I
good.
do.
Yeah, especially if you when it comes to the back, lower
Mhm.
back as well, your heart area, lower back, circulatory system, the nervous system is also part of this. Anything that you need to detox away from. So if you're getting away from any sort of electromagnetic field, take a step away
Mhm.
from that a little bit. It's good to go back into nature. Um, any food that you put in your any sort of thing that you put in your body, right? Because I know Taurus does enjoy
Mhm.
pleasure. Um,
Mhm.
so there's stuff about that. So it could affect you also in terms of like I don't know if you still get headaches.
I do. I do get
Okay.
headaches.
Okay.
Um, not as often anymore, but I feel like back then, maybe 2, 3 years ago, they were intense.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. You don't have a lot of like placements in Pluto and Scorpio according to this chart, but one of
Mhm.
your the way you learn also is it usually you liked it's kind of from your childhood.
Mhm.
You prefer to experience and learn through things and absorb
Yeah.
life very cathartic in a cathartic way. Um,
Mhm.
so, but that's the thing about Scorpio energy, especially also Aries. It wants to conquer. It wants to also be right. There's a lot of I don't know if you were growing up this way, but I've seen a lot of people with Moon in Aries, especially if it's a square positioning or it's like what you call
Mhm.
hard aspects in astrology. It's there's a lot of there can be a lot of emotional. It can be explosive. It does go
Yes.
away, but then because
Mhm.
it's the moon, it can it's in the eighth house here, so it can sort of settle into the subconscious when it's not released and done in a very through the body as well, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so you do shadow work as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do shadow work. I mean, I just started into I think I would say I just started like my whole um awakening spirituality journey
Yeah,
maybe not that long ago, but I'm fairly new to this, so I'm still learning.
that's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It also could be because of past lives you had some sort of I don't know, there was some sort of abandonment there, like
Yeah.
a lot of like there's a very chaotic sort of experiences, delinquency, anti-authoritarianism, anti-order. Maybe you were again cast out, or you were some kind of runaway, or it happened to people under you. Maybe
Hmm.
because it's in Gemini, I feel like it's tied to siblings. It's
Okay.
tied to a sibling thing in past lives, but it could be here as well.
I have I mean, I feel like that in the present.
Ah, yes, yeah,
Growing up, I did feel kind of like secluded from my family
Mm-hmm.
because of my um, because I was with another girl.
That's fine.
My partner was another girl,
That's
and
fine.
so like that alone was very hard on me growing up. Um, and they couldn't accept that, so that alone was very hard.
Were they
Not
very?
being accepted, not being
Uh,
acceptive of that.
so they were dogmatic. They were very
Hmm.
okay. I can see that. I grew up
And
Catholic.
it's everyone, like my sister, my parents. I have four siblings. I'm the three of five,
Yeah.
and yeah, everyone kind of just
Yeah.
distanced themselves
Yeah.
from me for a little bit. But
Did
now it's different. Now we all live together.
okay. Do they
So
ask
yeah,
about your love life?
yeah, they do.
Okay.
They do. I feel like they're more involved, but it's now I feel like it's more me kind of like keeping things to myself. I don't really like to share as much, but they do ask. I just prefer to kind of keep some things to myself.
Okay. Are those
Hmm.
emotions tied to like how do you feel about when you hide it? Is it some sort of what feeling comes up?
So I just feel that it's best for me to keep things to myself because I don't want to be like a burden on someone else, especially my family. I don't want to feel like I am a burden to them. And sometimes, like, if I were to have like relationship issues, I feel like I could pretty much handle them myself, and I don't feel like a need for them to worry about that.
But do you also relate it? Do you share these things with other people who accept you?
Mm, yes, I do to a few
Okay,
people.
okay, that's fine. Because I mean, Teal Swan says the reason we need to go back into community way of life because
Hmm.
because there are things that just your family won't be able to do. They have limited perception of things. It's just like even my parents,
Hmm.
they never ask about my love life, so I
Hmm.
don't talk to them about it. And they can only help me in sort of a material way. Even that they don't really do a sort of a good job. They do their best.
Hmm.
That's what they get. It's very limited. So I go to
Yeah.
other people. So if you have a variety of people around you and different people you can count on, where you can still be yourself, that's different, right? That's just another form of family. It doesn't have to be blood
Yeah.
family. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So
Yeah, for sure. And now, um, I don't know, but I feel like I don't know if it's because now I'm in a heterosexual
sure.
relationship, so I'm with my boyfriend now,
Yep.
and I don't know if it's because of that they're a little bit more accepting of me. But I
Seen that
feel like
before.
even then, even before my boyfriend, they kind of did open up a little bit
Yeah.
to that idea of like me, being with another
Yeah. That's fair.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about this the label of bisexuality or pansexuality,
Mhm.
right? It's like the moment it taps into their comfort zone, it's almost like, oh yeah, that's fair weather, that's fair weatheredness, that's
Mhm.
conditional love, that's not. But at the same time, you can't change them. They have to change themselves. They
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I can see why you don't really tell them. That's fine. But as long as you also have other people you do feel
I do.
like,
Yeah. I
okay, yeah,
feel like now I mean, I have my friends, and then also like my boyfriend is someone who I can like be myself with, and I feel like for a long time I didn't have that, and
yeah,
I feel like I had to act a certain way with the partner that I was with, and now like my relationship is so different, and I
mm-hmm,
feel like I can be myself
yes,
and talk these things with him.
yeah, okay, good,
Hmm.
awesome. I hope, well, I just hope that I sometimes what goes through my head sometimes is like, I just hope, especially for women, I hope that, when they, especially like if it's bisexual or pan, it's almost, sometimes I
Hmm.
kind of, what goes into my head sometimes is like, I hope the guy doesn't ask for like some sort of, oh, you're interested in, are we gonna have a threesome? I'm just like, really? Seriously? Yeah. So, but I'm sure he doesn't ask that. I'm just saying.
No, he hasn't.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome. Anyways, okay.
um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say he was just more like curious about it. Like, yeah, he was just curious about it. So, like, I mean, I
Okay.
just laid everything out, and he was just very receptive of that.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This does kind of tie in also with your past as well, past lives. Um,
Hmm.
Bisexuality isn't, or sexuality itself is not new to you. Um, but in the past, I would say it was kind of more hidden. I can see why it's kind of tying into this life as well. There's some
Hmm.
kind of demonization happening in the past somehow. It's like there is some sort of ego resistance in a past life somehow. Um, you know, it's again anything that's different, especially because of, if you're talking about human timelines, in the past it wasn't as accepted as it is now. That's
Hmm.
part of that. I'm seeing here Sethos is the asteroid, showing that the story was that he tried to, he's sort of seen as like an anti-hero, sometimes,
Hmm.
but there's something about him and his nephew. There's something that happened there, but it was because of power. So there's definitely something to do with power there. Um,
Okay.
did you ever experience xenophobia at work?
Um. Hmm.
No.
I think. Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay.
Hmm.
Or at least it was competitive. I don't know if there's some sort of competitive workplace that you've been to. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, you must.
I
Yeah.
used to work in a call center, and
Wow.
then to
That
like
makes sense.
rate to go up. How do you say? I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget how to say words because
No,
I'm
it's fine.
bilingual. So I'm
Oh, that's
like,
fine.
how do I say
That's
this in
okay.
Spanish?
It's okay. I'm bilingual
But
too.
yes, to yes, just to go up a better position at work.
Yeah.
That in itself was very competitive, and like you'd have to do more work and do more things and go above and beyond to even get like a better position. So
Uh
that was
huh.
very competitive in nature.
Yeah. I feel like your soul now wants you to go through your pain, any sort of wounding that you had, and make that part of your vocation rather than working for somebody else. Not that you can't
Yeah.
work for others. It's usually what we make. What we make out of what we get, right? It's like, it's
Mhm.
being grateful for it. But at the same time, if it's not resonating with you, as Bashar would say, if it's not in that current state, or in that current timeline, or that current now, it's doesn't resonate with you, or it's not your highest excitement in that moment, then
Mhm.
I feel like you don't have that job anymore, obviously, right? So, and you would never go back
No,
to that.
so yeah, I never want to go back to that environment.
Good.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like being told what to do.
I
And
understand.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was a very toxic work environment. And
Yeah.
so I don't know how I randomly just fell into this field of caregiving. It was just kind of brought upon me, and I'm like, I have so much freedom now, and I like it. It's
Good.
not, I don't have the feeling that I have to report to someone, or
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
doing my own thing, and
Yeah.
I like it. Hmm.
Yeah. Because a lot of your wounding is tied to being, you're kind of like losing your childhood. Um,
Hmm.
you can turn that around and work with children, not necessarily directly
Hmm.
children, but people's
Hmm.
childlikeness as well. Bring that out. That's what I
Okay.
feel. But with it going into, let's see what Daphne says here. Daphne is about rewards and awards and being chased. Um, you know how we sometimes still chase things, right? It's
Hmm.
usually best to let it come to us by being kind of more magnetic and being ourselves. That's the gift that you
Hmm.
also have in past lives. The anger as well. I have here the Astra Tisiphone, and she was one of the Furies. I don't know if you know about the Furies in Greek mythology. She's crazy.
Hmm.
She was about
Hmm.
murder.
Oh.
She was the one who justified, um, who was basically, what do you call this? She went after humans who, um, committed murder against other humans. So she's
Mhm.
the Furies are vengeance, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense why that would be here because it's almost like, but instead of actual vengeance, I guess what you can say is that you can help others release
Mhm.
that, that rage inside. How do you work with anger? What is
Okay.
the gift of anger? Let's talk about this one. What is the gift of anger?
Um. Yeah. Release. I feel like being able to release, but I don't know. I've heard recently, like I don't remember where I heard it. Anger is sort of kind of like safety mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
what's hidden underneath is like
absolutely.
fear.
Yes,
Fear.
absolutely. Yes, yeah, yeah. Teal Swan calls it like a cover-up emotion, and it's we always have to dig deep into. That's why when we're angry, because it's in astrology, Mars is tied to anger, but Mars is also about initiative. So that's the gift of anger. One of the gifts of anger is initiative. It kind of pushes you in that direction you want to go into. So you can always transmute that energy of anger into something that is productive, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Especially with Mars here in Cancer, you can transmute that. Use the waters and let it flow into something
Mhm.
more like, well, what do I really need? What are my basic needs, right? Teal Swan also talks about honoring your basic needs. So
Mhm.
when one of your basic needs, I would say, is very strongly freedom. Just really being yourself, really being, kind of just. I guess the term I've heard a lot, and it's just I find it kind of cheesy, but at the same time,
Mhm.
yeah, it's true. It's called happy-go-lucky, but not really
Mhm.
happy-go-lucky, as in like I don't care. You know,
Mhm.
still focusing on what is your highest excitement in the moment, and at the same
Mhm.
time going for it, but trusting the process itself, right? So those
Okay.
are a lot of the gifts you have from past lives. It's you don't need to look for things that are like. I guess there's a competitive side in you that doesn't show. I can see that, but
Mhm.
there's a way to bring that out. It's going into
Okay.
Sagittarius. It means that you can go into that. You can work with a lot of these energies, and you've doubted a lot of these energies. I'm not going to read two of the asteroids here because, or one dwarf planet, actually two dwarf planets. I know I'm getting sciencey a little bit, but
Mhm.
because I haven't done research on them. But I do
Mhm.
see
No worries.
here that your potential can be more towards healing your ancestral line. It is in the fourth house.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. So Heimdall, we'll start with Heimdall here. You've heard of Heimdall in the movie, what do you call that? The Marvel movies. That's why they kind of got it.
Mhm.
But he's also about being some kind of advisor. He is a guard, yes, but he's also he has premonitional abilities and prophecies. Um,
Mhm.
very enlightened, right? He
Mhm.
can bring unconscious to conscious. Um, Standing your ground as well, but without being too defiant to the point where it's actually causing chaos, right?
Okay.
Knowing when to speak and or listen, right? But
Mhm.
it comes down to childlikeness. That wounding you had, I saw before, and it comes down to being present. Eckhart Tolle, if there's any teacher out there that I kind of follow, it's
Mhm.
his stuff, which is true because all of the stuff that all these gurus, all these things that's going on in the spiritual community, they all tie
Mhm.
to presence.
Mhm.
That's where it starts. Through the breath, through the body, and saying,
Mhm.
that's just a story in my head. Right? It doesn't mean we resist any emotions that come through. No, we actually surrender to the emotion to the point where it's just like, okay, I can feel that. That's fine. And if you have to cry,
Mhm.
go cry it out and then just let it out, and then you'll see yourself. You've cried yourself to sleep
Mhm.
before.
Oh yes, I'm very emotional.
There you go. So that means that's kind of like that. But instead, in this case, because when we cry
Mhm.
ourselves to sleep, that's still okay. But it goes into the below the theta state, so it goes into the subconscious. But in this
Mhm.
case, crying ourselves until there's a message we get from the emotion. What is it trying to
Mhm.
tell us, right? That's one of the gifts you can use through this process here, right?
Okay.
And knowing when your boundaries are. Remember, boundaries are not necessarily saying no, I can't accept you. No, I mean boundaries is in this is what I want. I'm going to state exactly what I want as I say it. That's your placement in Taurus, your sun in Taurus is very baby energy. But of course, as you
Mhm.
get older, that moves out. So it
Mhm.
means you're learning to have stronger boundaries, right? I
Mhm.
would say. Um, and that, of course, we already kind of talked about the whole why you don't go back into that job you were in before, the hierarchical system. That's not for you, and that's totally fine. Um, Finding the wealth within. That's the big one as well. Um, if we're talking about things that you can do on a tangible basis, there are things like
Mhm.
being kind of like a seer. I don't know if you've been interested in being a seer. That's not really a Taurus thing, but it can still work. Um,
Mhm.
Channeling, not just channeling. We all channel through
Mhm.
things we do. You can channel through. So, are you being called to travel? Do you feel like you're traveling more now, or do you still?
Not at the moment. I think that um, maybe like a year ago I was traveling more.
Uh huh.
This year kind of slowed down for me
That kind of makes,
a
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Hmm.
That totally makes sense. You're here to build now. You feel like maybe you're building your skill sets, also
Hmm.
building a home. I would say so. I feel like yeah, your nadir is in Taurus now. It's progressed into Taurus. Sorry, just astrological concepts. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
so that's tied to that. So being an advisor as well, working with other people. That's a big
Yeah.
one. And working, having a sort of like that environment, communities, maybe not necessarily a big one, something that's enough for you, where you kind of also, what do you call that? I guess is satisfy that basic need for freedom. Maybe it's
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's hmm, what is the Sagittarius? Do you still do you feel very good around? Because I feel like there's something about what do you call this? Sports that you do yourself, not in a group. Do you still do that? I'm assuming yes,
Um,
okay.
I yes, I enjoy running.
Okay.
Actually got into racing this year, so I
Oh.
did a half a marathon this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But running is like my go-to to like relieve stress, and
Okay.
yeah, I love that.
I'm watching the TV show again called Flash. So it's kind of like that. Reminds you of that. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay. Cool. Let's
Mhm.
see what else is here. So because it's tied to the home, things that you do often in your most comfortable state. Um, let's see here. You probably very like at home, very like. Do you teach at home sometimes? Have you done that? Could do that.
Teach at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, actually, my old job, the one that I quit, I was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I was conducting training.
Okay.
And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I love doing this. I love teaching, and this is something that I want to do. I just
Huh.
didn't really know like what I wanted to teach. But I feel like now I'm so more called to like teach um, about, life and freeing yourself, and like knowing that there's more to life than what you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. That's right. So any experiences you've gained, you can always teach that. But remember,
Hmm.
teaching is. I'm a teacher myself, so I don't believe teaching is anything to do with knowledge.
Hmm.
It's being an example. So in this case, you don't necessarily have to directly teach. You can just show them through what you do.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Exactly, right? In this case, if you still enjoy athleticism, if you still enjoy, maybe traveling a little bit. Doesn't have to be long distance. I feel it could be here, or
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's maybe because you're. I don't know if you've ever felt like you've doubted moving to another country that is, it's a kind of like it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things to explore, but at the same time, it's still very like simple. I think that would
Yeah.
resonate a lot with you in a sort of like an earthly way. You have your own space.
Okay.
You still work in a community, but they're not in your face. Sort of, they're not in your space.
Yeah, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like where I live now is very chaotic, so I have played with that idea.
Yeah, so we definitely can look into a chart next time, or charts on where you can move. What we'll do is work with locational astrology and see what you might be interested in. We'll do that another time. Um,
Mhm.
one thing here is, yeah. So that's what I'm seeing from Heimdall. Um, Release of also information. That's part of that as well. Um, you're sharing information really, but that's not the biggest thing. But it is really being that kind of standing your ground at the same time being kind of like again it's almost like stoicism uh, so
Mhm.
it's okay to have that stoicism because it's almost like if they don't get it that's not for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into the asteroid. Moira is a big one. Moira is the fates. So if you've ever been kind of at least tiny bit curious about being able to
Mhm.
do something like akashic records or something about
Mhm.
people's lives,
Mhm.
because I feel like you do have that from past lives, being able to access the akashic library or something like that. But it's more about predictions, or it's about um,
Mhm.
being able to help people with, because premonitions, there's a misnomer when it comes to premonitions. People feel like, oh, when you're telling me my future, it's going to happen. No.
Mhm. Yeah.
You play around with it. That's how I see premonitions. I've been called to do that myself. Sometimes when I go into psychic circles, or do you go into circles sometimes? No, you don't.
No,
No,
not
that's okay.
really.
That's okay. It can be fun. It can be fun. You could do it one on one. You can. I don't know if you
Yeah.
do divination. That's one way to start with this. You can practice with divination, and the key is really to have fun, because one of your
Mhm.
wounds, like is your Chiron is in Leo, so just like it's
Mhm.
like almost like you have this wounding. Just like go back into that childlikeness. Go back into that. Embrace your inner fire that is not all consuming. It's just being you, and you become magnetic when you
Mhm.
do that. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Love that. So that's a confirmation. That's a good one. Um,
Yeah.
because this also ties with my journey too. So that's cool, right? Um, Being in your North Node in Sagittarius signifies that you also kind of, there is still a pull towards some kind of like, I don't want to call the stereotype hippie, but kind of like that, where you're like kind of also I don't like the G word, I don't like that word because it's politically incorrect, but that kind of lifestyle, or just being free, not necessarily
Mhm.
traveling, but kind of just you can breathe the air, or in this case fire, and
Yeah.
yeah, you feel kind of like that energy where it's not about conquering, it's about I am. Let's reword the word conquer. Instead
Mhm.
of taking over, it's just I don't know the word for conquer. Take over, rule. You know what I mean? Because we rule because we want to feel like control, right?
Mhm.
So, but when we control things, it stems from, it's kind of tied to Mars. It's tied to that whole like, I'm not getting what I want. But if that belief stems from, at least for me, when I'm looking at things like, well, I don't get what I want,
Mhm.
that's a negative belief, right? So if we don't get what I want, it's like, why do I believe that I don't get what I want? That's not true.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have
Yeah.
made this you wouldn't have made it this far if you didn't get what you
You're right.
want. That doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
You're breathing, you're alive, that kind of stuff. And from this, in a very simplistic way, that is that. But at the same time, there are things. We all have inner intelligence, and we're all connected that way. But we're also unique at the same time, right? So there is that sort
Mhm.
of energy that, I guess you could say energy, or that sort of mindset we can go back into. Um, if you look up Teal
Mhm.
Swan stuff, she amazing videos about shifting your beliefs, working with your beliefs. That's a strong one,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Look up Teal Swan, unless you already look at it, unless you already
I'm not
researched it.
familiar, but I'm gonna look
Okay, yeah,
into.
teal like the color, yeah, and then swan, yeah.
Okay.
Um, let's see here. On a more practical point of view, things working with instruments, some sort of like working with a timeline or something like that. There's something about timelines. Or weaving. Do you feel sometimes, do you feel a pull to do weaving, sewing, designing a little bit? Not really?
Sewing a little bit, yes.
Okay. Kind of just make it,
Mhm.
I would say kind of, that'll be kind of the artwork part of yourself, right? Your Taurus is also likes art,
Mhm.
but also likes it simple, and also building
Mhm.
things, right? So kind of just working with that energy. It inspires you, but I would say on a deeper level, something that is from you yourself, from your experiences,
Mhm.
using your pain to purpose, if that makes sense. Right?
Mhm.
Oh, we're not cut out yet. Oh, I'm cut out from. Okay, that's cool. We're still here.
Mhm.
Uh, have you ever was? I don't know. Again, it goes back. Oh, oracles here, prophets, prophecies. Okay, that's common. Okay, I mean that's sorry, not common. That's what I was expected. Uh, anything to do with earth science or geology? I don't know if you've ever interested weather.
Mhm.
Does that did that kind of spark something in you?
Um, no, I mean
Sorry.
weather. I think it's a thing here in California. Like we're always
What
looking at the weather
But what I mean is
because it
like you could
changes.
okay. Well, I mean maybe not necessarily the weather, but also something that can be. I wouldn't say weather per se, the actual weather, but
Mhm.
I don't know something that's very. I guess you can do that. You can use it as an analogy to say the fluctuations that people experience with their emotions. So you could use that as a sort of a guide to see, because emotions do change all the time. They
Mhm.
fluctuate. So you can see that as sort of a weather and be
Mhm.
kind of that. Again, I feel like it is tied to divination, but it's also tied to your personal experiences and also what did we talk about earlier with Heimdall? Kind of just again being some sort of advisor of some kind,
Mhm.
like you're helping people, counseling or something like that. Not necessarily by job
Mhm.
title, okay? Um,
Yeah.
Also embracing, helping people embrace their inner royalty, so to speak. Their inner power, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and that they are immortal. Through divine beings, right? So, but it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to really, really hone it inside. Um,
Mhm.
so Moira here is also tied to higher dimensions. So I don't know if you've been into that kind of stuff. Medicine is also part of this one. Oh, I guess it might be tied to the athleticism stuff, like um, any sort of I don't know what it is here. Protective gear, life saving stuff, CPR. I don't know. It's weird. Okay, let me double check the chart. Let's see. 12 degrees. Yeah, it has a lot to do with the emotions. It's a lot to do with. I would say it's tied to water. It's tied to that whole motherhood thing. I don't know if you've ever been
Mhm.
called to. I don't know, like a doula, like some sort of like not midwife. Sorry, like some sort of like people who. Um, I'll double check here because it's in the eighth house. It's something to do with like relationships, like trusting relationships, like some kind of I don't know,
Mhm.
psychology related. Hmm. It's, let's see here. The internet is part of this one. Like something to do with information. It says here data tampering, hacking. Not that you need to do that. Um,
I mean,
uh,
I got hacked.
oh, okay. Let's see here. Let me see. Balance is also part of this one. Um, uh, the art principle. Oh, but based on art. Okay. So something to do with art as well. Uh, oh, because of the. Oh, because. Okay. So it's tied to Taurus, and there's something about money as well. So something to do with stock options, incentives, COLAs, health insurance, that kind of stuff. Maybe there's something to do with that, like in terms of
Okay.
people's homes, in terms of how they handle their so-called money. You know, at a figurative level, meaning like in terms of how we can trade and create our own wealth. That like for example, health as well. It's almost like something to do with currency. I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
if you. There's something about currency I'm getting here.
Hmm.
Like currency, like different type of currency. How do you feel about the wisdom that you get, ideas you get from whatever ideas you get from past, right? It's good, like it's creating something different, not necessarily creating something new, but kind of changing it a little bit, or adding an actual feel to it where it's not. I guess you could say a different philosophy and view of information, a different philosophy of learning, a different philosophy of what you can do
Hmm.
with information. If that makes sense.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Oh, they want me to end the call in 5 minutes. Okay. Uh,
Mhm.
okay. We'll come back, and then what I'll do is I'll send you a new link that I just got this thing here. So
Okay.
I'll give you a new link. Do you still want to keep going? There's still technically more. How do you feel?
Hmm. Yeah, we can.
Okay. Okay.
I
Cool.
have some time.
Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. We'll see how far we can go, but I'll give you a new um, link because I don't. We can't use the same link.
Okay, no
So,
worries.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you one as soon as possible. You want me? I can't send it here, so I'll send it to school, and
School.
then
Okay.
yeah. Thank you. Okay,
Okay,
I
sounds
appreciate
good.
it. Okay,
All
see you
right.
in a bit.
See you
Okay,
in a bit.
bye.
Hmm.
We're back again. I appreciate this. See here. Okay, what are you talking about here? Ah, okay. So let's see. Health insurance, yeah, we talked about a little bit about that because I feel like it's tied to the fourth house. So there's something about retirement plans, health
Hmm.
insurance. I guess I don't know. Not to say that you need to change anything, but I don't know what it
Hmm.
is. Hmm. Compensations, it says here. Have you ever thought about, hmm, how do you feel about real estate? But a different type of real estate. Like instead of real estate itself, like the business itself, we're talking about real
Hmm.
estate as in creating different homes, creating different ways of actually. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Um, yeah, so I think it's funny because what comes to mind is my dad. He always pushed me to get into real estate. He's always pushed me to, if I'm not like if I don't want to do anything else with my life, then invest in being in real estate, invest in learning
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I mean, it is interesting. It is interesting.
Mm.
But not in the like it's not in the business side, more of like the home, like building a home's part of it.
Ah, okay. You've
Hmm.
heard of permaculture?
No,
It's this
permaculture.
whole idea that uh, we could build homes. Sorry. It's working with nature, not against nature. So instead of the
Mm-hmm.
traditionalized farming, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're doing this to the soil, you're putting seeds, and you're doing this, and it's almost like we're using the soil again and again instead of letting nature do its work, where and we create a lot of waste with that, right? Not to mention the pesticides, all that crap and the
Yeah.
politics behind it. But
Yeah.
it's really working with nature, just like an Amazon forest would be. But it can work anywhere. It's just allowing diversity to also work in its own way. Like it's not like this idea that, oh, I'm just gonna plant onions, I'm just gonna have peppers, or I'm just gonna have
Mhm.
this and that. I'm like, no, there's diversity within an ecosystem in permaculture. It also depends on what type of ecosystem. Is it a tundra? Is
Mhm.
it, subterranean? Is it those kind of things? Whatever the rules are, I forgot what the terms are, but it's depending on the environment you're in, it will still work, and it's
Mhm.
self-replenishing, self-sufficient,
Oh wow. Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's
That kind
interesting.
of
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel like your home is. You were you born in this? You were born in the States, right? I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
California. Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like eventually you might, because I feel like with the Sagittarian placement in your nadir, it feels like your home is meant to be foreign, so elsewhere. That's a strong
Okay.
indication for me. But there's sometimes some doubt about it, right? In terms of like,
Mhm.
how would you appear in front of people? It's like, right? So,
Mhm.
let me take a look at here. What am I seeing with Square? Prometheus, Iduna. Mm, yeah, you feel like maybe there you might be misunderstood or accused of something, especially if it's, I don't know. I feel like because of your upbringing, like your
Mhm.
experiences, it's almost like there's, I don't know, like it'd be criticism. You'll be criticized or something like that if you moved out or if you go went elsewhere. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
So,
mhm,
when I actually moved out with my girlfriend.
mhm,
When like I came out to my parents and my whole family,
mhm,
I
mhm,
moved out, and then that kind of like became a thing of like actually moved out to San Diego, which is 2 hours
mhm,
away from here.
mhm, mhm.
And and yeah, I think that's
I feel like you still feel a specific like family or like responsibility to your family, do you?
yeah.
Okay, okay. That's one of the things that's kind of tying you here, but it's your soul wants you to progress into, there's a way to be there for your family without sacrificing your needs,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Especially your basic
And
needs. That's one of the things that you tend to do. It's like you can't really be your childlike self unless it's almost like, well, my family is important. But I mean, what is that? Like, you
hmm
know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. We all go through that. I'm not saying I can't, I mean, I live in my parents' home. They're not here, so they kind of made me sort of a
hmm
tenant, but they don't they don't charge me. So I'm grateful for the gift that there is in that one, in that regard. Um, so it's not escaping where I'm from. It's not escaping this place. It's more like, what can I learn from this so that I change my frequency, so that I am being that, all the gratitude and all that stuff that is what I already have here. But it also doesn't mean that I'm going to stay here, right? It's like bringing that
hmm
energy. It's not the external, it's the internal. So
hmm
that kind of stuff, like if you feel that you're, because I feel like there's some sort of like, what do you call this? There's benefits to, um, there's a certain comfort, as or familiarity, as Aaron Dowdy would say it, when we're doing something like this, right? You
hmm
might sort of still have that sort of like, it's a secure thing. It feels secure when I'm like helping my family, but at the same time, the feeling might be like, like do you, do you still, and I'm gonna poke the bear, okay? Uh, do you feel
That's okay.
resentful? Do you feel resentful at times?
mm, I think a little bit.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
that's you. That's because there's even if it's a little bit, that's still something that's important. Because if we're, I've gone through that. Like I felt resentful many times in my life. So now when I tell my family, I show them that it's like, no, I have my boundaries. I know I do this thing, but I'm not going to do something that is out of my way. Like I'll do what I
Mhm.
can. So I'm more verbal about it rather than and I prove it through what I do. I don't say sometimes I don't say anything. That's a gift you could use too. You don't have to necessarily say anything. You just do it, and they'll see like, oh,
Mhm.
she doesn't want to do this. And then when it repeats itself, when it's consistent or when it's constant at
Yeah.
least, then they'll see that and be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's like a big thing with me too is like um I didn't really know how to set that boundary with
yeah,
them.
yeah,
And it took hard work, but now that I am learning how to, now I feel like they kind of don't understand that, like because they haven't seen that part of me, they haven't seen that like version of me of as having boundaries, so they kind of like are not very understanding of it.
yeah,
So it's a work in progress.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
definitely a work in progress, but
Yeah, they saw you as this kind of like, oh, she's kind of just, she has her own little, she has a spiritual side. She's very accepting. She adapts. That's one of the thing about Sagittarius.
yeah.
She adapts. She'll adapt it. She'll, whatever. We can just, she can be like a doormat. No offense. But like, it's like, da 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 da. But I'm like, no,
No.
right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just,
Hmm.
it's not that you want to rebel against anything because that's what it is.
Hmm.
If you suppress something, if you squeeze something, what's going to happen is it's going to explode, right? It's like
Yeah.
you can't squeeze a sponge too much, it'll eventually come back out. If you try to
Hmm.
squeeze metal, it'll somehow, something will happen. If you try to contain water, it'll seep out. If you try to,
Right.
anything, nothing can be contained. Nothing. And the rebellion side comes from when there's too much compression, there's too much limitation. It doesn't work. There's a
Hmm.
limit, there's a purpose for limit. Limit means slow down a little bit. You'll get to where you need to
Hmm.
get to or where you want to go or what you need to do, but just take it slowly. Know that there's a lesson. So that's what it is.
Hmm.
It's the difference between consequence or result. We've been conditioned to see consequences, not results.
Right.
Life is not about that.
Yeah.
That's not the way life works, right? Everything is just about results. You get feedback. That's a lesson. That's some information. A mirroring
Hmm.
back to you. It's like, oh, okay, that's not what I want, right?
Hmm.
So
Feedback. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So and that's totally fine. So yeah, um, I feel like also when it comes to, I'm seeing here Make is square one of your placements here. Let me double check here. Hmm. Well, hold on. So, let me go back to the Medusa here. Medusa is, yes, you probably heard of Medusa with the snake head, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it doesn't mean you can do your hair like that. That's totally fine. That's cool. That's a very literal way of interpreting it. Um, but it's working with powerlessness, and and in this case, it's more about yourself rather than anybody else, rather than the
Okay.
family.
Hmm.
But you can be an example for them as well, because I'm seeing here, your north node is actually trine your moon. It's mostly your mother. There's something about the mother side. So she can transform through what you do rather than, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I did just see here gaslighting.
Mm.
She, were you, there was gaslighting, right, with your mom?
Yeah.
Okay,
A little
yes,
bit.
yeah. Okay, emotional dysregulation, it says here as well. So it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. Do you see? Scapegoated for group's rejection of sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Learning of and awareness of your dual nature, or rather triple nature, if that makes sense. Bashar says there's positive, negative, and the neutral side. I don't like to use the word positive, negative because it right away, those words, at least in the English language, we see it as like good and bad, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in that. I believe that one is expansive, one is constrictive. But constrictive doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily mean that it's wrong. It's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing. It's processing.
Mm-hmm.
When we go into the darkness, we process, right? This is why when we go to bed, when you sleep, our eyes are not awake. Why would it be like I'm dreaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. So we go into the darkness, right? So we've
Mm-hmm.
been conditioned to believe that, yeah. Um, so again, there's other stuff too as well when it comes to trauma. Um, One of them is sexual related. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
pry in here. I'm just saying that's what I'm seeing here. Could also be misogyny. Okay. Um, so safe space is important for you. Like as Teal Swan would put it, she says the way to heal one of the ways to heal trauma, at least I think she says one of, is to actually honor your basic needs. Like go to do the opposite of what you got you traumatized. So
Mm-hmm.
if your parents were not there, if they were aloof and if they were distant, if they were cold, you need someone who's the opposite of that. You need someone
Mm-hmm.
who's actually there, who's actually going to meet them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, right? Because people think, oh no, just like many people now don't really say suck it up, but that's basically what they're saying when they're saying, oh, it's all love and light, namaste, and all that stuff. I'm like, but it's also not the
Mm-hmm.
opposite where it's just I'm gonna kill you. Blah, blah, blah. No, I mean it can't be in one direction. That doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to embrace every part of yourself, right? That's shadow work. As you learn
Yeah.
to shadow work, that's yeah, exactly. TS1 is awesome for that again because her work is mostly through shadow work. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just shadow work, but it is through shadow work. The completion process is a book. You can get it hard copy or you can get a PDF form. Um, Completion process takes you through specific emotional experiences that take you back
Mm-hmm.
to your inner child, and there's no limit to how long the process takes. It's like a session. You can do it for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, but it's usually better when someone does it for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's not necessarily like you have to go through a therapist or something like that, but it takes you
Mm-hmm.
to the emotions and you listen to exactly what the inner child wants. You're not hypnotized, okay? It's just you process it and you go through some
Mm-hmm.
memories will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the further down you go, the more you'll heal in disintegrated part of your child and bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I think I need to explore more shadow work and go more into like my childhood memories because I feel like I have a lot of them blocked.
Me too.
So,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the subconscious or the ego's way of it's a defense mechanism. It's just going,
Mhm.
oh, we're not going to go to that memory, but it's there, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah. What else is there? So that's one of the things you definitely can work through that. Uh, let's see here. Were you ever into suspense, thriller, or horror movies? No, right?
I w-
No.
no, well, when I was a kid,
Okay.
a little bit, but now I have no interest in them.
No, you don't need to watch them. It can be quite yeah, unless it's comedy, like they actually
Mhm.
like it's dark humor because humor has a way of twisting that, but you don't need to. It's not really good energy. Just it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So, working with gemstones, that's one thing here. Crystals, okay. With the whole divination thing we talked about, there is a process where you can access not just past lives, but also maybe ancestral line through
Okay.
mirrors. it could
Oh.
be figurative, as in like you're mirroring your shadow work and all this stuff, but it could also mean like an actual mirror. I forgot what it's
Mhm.
called. My boyfriend said something. What is it called? We go look into the mirror, and then you close everything. There are no lights, and then you see things through the mirror. It's kind of scary at first, but it
It sounds scary.
I know it, but it gets you into the certain memories. There's what is it called? Scrying. But scrying is apparently you do something with the mirror. There's like
Mhm.
water involved, but it's similar because you're doing. You know that mirrors are reflection to. Oh, you know this.
Mhm.
Yes, there are other worlds. Right? When I say other
Yeah.
worlds, I mean yes, yeah. So basically, parallel lives and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
kind of.
That's why I'm like kind of scared with about mirror.
Ah, do you
Yeah.
do you have mirrors in your rooms? Do they face inside? Or they inwards, or they face
Well,
outwards?
this mirror behind me is like my vanity mirror, and it's facing towards my bed.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Does it twist? So it's inside. It's not like a window mirror. Like it's not. Okay.
No, it's inside. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because okay. I don't know. I just usually don't get I don't allow mirrors to face me directly. I let face outside.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like the TV because it's like a reflection.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. That's right. So it's
So
just to
it's
be
not
safe.
good to have that.
Yeah.
I know. I think I'm gonna start covering
Yeah.
my
You could do
mirrors.
just just for that. Okay. Let's go into Cleopatra. Let's see here. Something about people, I would say children or people like families that have gone through kind of what you've gone through, like um, suppression, trauma. Um, but there's something about multilingualism also tied to this oratory skills, speech related stuff. I feel like in the
Hmm.
multi-talentedness is coming back again here. So I feel like it's tied to that. There's something about that. Um, do you was I feel like your family wasn't exposed to a lot of cultures, were they not?
No.
Like you're
No.
bilingual, but
No.
they weren't really exposed to different kind of cultures. Do you feel like? Because I feel like there's something about that. Your soul wants you to go into that. Your soul wants you to embrace that part of yourself because it's there's different aspects of culture, just like there are with personalities, that will mirror to yourself. That's what's beautiful
Okay.
about, you know, traveling per se, because you get to see something about yourself that you didn't know before through other people.
Through other cultures too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
individually or also collectively. Yes. So, and that's one thing.
Mm.
Um, it says here, private and clandestine affairs. So anything on the down low kind of thing or secrets. Not saying do that. I can see why you, because remember you talked about it earlier. That's totally fine.
Hmm.
Um, the whole royalty thing is coming up again.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is. I feel like it's something to do with your past life again. There's something about that. So we talked about it. Also,
Yeah.
twins and or fraternal twins.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. My mom is a fraternal twin.
oh, okay. So that's more of an history. Okay. So let's see here. Where's your Jupiter? Feel like it's. No, I don't think it's tied to your own. If you were to have children, I don't know if it's tied to that. I do know that if you were to have children, or even just adopted children, or any children actually at all, any children, anything that you picked up from your family, like growing up, can be reflected back to them naturally, right? So watch out for those
Hmm.
kind of things like initiative versus anger, um, magic versus illusion, or non-reality, or you know what I mean. So this is one of the things that the reason I'm saying that is because Um, it's almost like you grew up in an environment that kind of just swept things under the rug,
Mhm.
right? And didn't really face it, didn't really face it head on. There's a sort of like
Right.
delusional perception of reality as if it's like this is what's real for us. So, but that's not true. There's no such thing. Even Bashar says this. There's people have asked him, "What's the truth?" I'm like, everything is the truth because it's
Mhm.
your perception of life, right? Yeah,
Perception. Yeah.
the ego is like goggles. You wear
Mhm.
them, and that's how you perceive things. That's how we create reality, right? So there is no one truth. The one truth is that everything is true. So
Everything's
it's
true.
what you make of it,
Mhm.
right? So that's the whole co-creative process, right? We know that we're guided, but at the same time, we still get to choose. It's like the difference between people always say again the difference between fate and free will. Two sides of the same coin.
Mhm.
Your body is
Mhm.
fate. What you do about it is free will.
Mhm.
Something very very simple but poignant.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Also, gender equality is part of this one as well. Not saying that you should have some sort of like a yacht, but that would be cool, like a pleasure barge
Mm.
or you know prestige, that kind of stuff. But that could be tied to that whole thing. It resonates a lot with Taurus, right? So again, that kind of
Mhm.
ties in with what we were talking about before about building your own home, maybe the permaculture, something that is still natural and wealthy and feels like, oh my God, there's so much beauty and richness, where it feels really, really real,
Mhm.
right? Genuine and not some sort of like, I'm a movie star, I'm in Hollywood. Ah.
Yeah.
you
No.
know, yeah, that kind of stuff, right? But again, there are people out there who do quiet stuff. They don't tell people like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm an actor, I'm in Hollywood, but I don't believe in any of the stuff that they say. So
Mhm.
yeah, okay. Uh, what else we see here? So does that help a little bit, like in terms of many things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it's been very insightful. And I think I resonated more with like you bringing up like embracing my inner fire because I feel like I've always felt like that fire in me.
Yeah.
And although like I have my sun in Taurus, um, I resonate more with like, well, I don't know nothing about
Sure.
astrology
That's
to
fine.
even begin with, but I feel like I resonate more with like Aries fire.
Yeah. The initiative.
Hmm.
You do want to take initiative for things.
And
Yeah.
taking initiative,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Sort of
That
like being a leader.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah. Being a pioneer, being a sort of a trailblazer. That's another thing that resonates here, right?
Hmm.
So, it's like, but the gift behind Aries is that watch out for things like if you go into some sort of project, don't make it too heavy. Just make sure you're always just in the moment. That's the gift of Aries. It knows how to be in the moment. It doesn't try to wait for the outcome to happen. It's just this is the
Hmm.
only thing right now. Right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Do what
Yeah,
trees
yeah.
do. Do what animals do. They're just like okay, one second at a time, one moment at
Yeah.
a time, or as my sister might say, more linearly speaking or chronologically speaking,
Hmm.
she's one day at a time. But really, it's just this
Yeah.
moment. So
This moment. Yeah.
Um, let's see if there's something that I feel. Okay. So go for things that you really enjoy. Again, find your highest excitement. I'm seeing here so many asteroids, and kind of like work with your work with knowledge where it's not necessarily knowledge. We have here Odin, um, but we also have here Felicitas and Lempo. They're all about what excites you, right? So
Hmm.
excites you can be again, as Bashar put it. It changes in every given situation, taking it as far as you can, without any expectation whatsoever of the
Hmm.
outcome. That's his
Hmm.
formula, right? He calls it a formula, but does it matter what the formula is? No. It doesn't matter if it's a methodology. No. It doesn't matter whether it's a tool. No. You use those
Mhm.
tools instead of relying on those tools. You just say, okay, that's what it is, and I'm going to use that. Um, yeah, just go with like information that or things that will uh, help you. I wouldn't say. I would say. I don't even think it's information. I would say. I told this to one of the readers too, and I believe this myself as a language teacher. I don't.
Mhm.
I don't adhere to the whole like let's do grammar first and all that stuff. Get information first, and then we'll use it. No, that's not the
Mhm.
way life works. It's always experience before knowledge.
Yeah.
Always, right? Even astrologically speaking, this is just for the sake of my channel, okay?
Mhm.
Fire comes before earth, so that's inspiration of burst. Earth becomes before air, so therefore, actual experiencing, embodying it, really hands-on, before we even understand it, right?
Yeah.
And then after we understand, then we go through the process of how do we feel about it? That's water. Then the recycle begins again. It's a never-ending cycle. So it's that's what it is. So it's never knowledge first. Never. It doesn't make sense. People
Mhm.
might say like, well, how do I know what to do? Well, you can get the information, but that's not how you get it. Like learning,
Mhm.
studying for your driver's license, for example, or your driver's permit,
Yeah.
and it's like you
Yeah.
studied it, and then what did you do with the
It's
information?
useless.
Nothing.
It's
Like you just
useless.
wanted to pass the exam.
Yeah.
So it's backwards, completely backwards, right?
Yeah.
So we were conditioned in that state. It's like, no, just trust the moment. Trust the moment, right? We can get
Okay.
information
Yeah.
if we want to for fun. Then if it's just for the sake of information, as in like you want to have fun with information, sure.
Mhm.
But not to rely on it as if that's going to help you get to where you want to go, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just have fun with that too. I'm seeing here one
Okay.
last thing about Thetis. Thetis is, I believe, something about shape shifting.
Oh.
So, okay, she's tied to shamanism, sorcery, witchcraft, totemism, um, lycanthropy, or therianthropy. Um, lycanthropy, I believe, is tied to wolves. So, sort of mimicking stuff. Um, so, I feel like with this one, because it's a lot to do with mimicry, one of the things that you probably want to experience in your life is you don't want to mimic others, right? You want to be
Mhm.
original. You want to be yeah, I know. So that's
Mhm.
okay. That's where they that's a whole that's where the whole saying that we have that whole what do you call that? Don't reinvent a wheel. Yeah, don't reinvent it,
Right.
but no one said you cannot innovate from it.
Mhm.
Right? Exactly. That's a form of creativity. That's where
Yeah.
your Chiron Leo is telling me it's like go back to that. Do things that are actually creative. Again, it doesn't mean art. Creative could be anything that you actually create.
Mhm.
So that's why I think Moira showed up in your chart because there's something about going into your primordial self, going into really within and just say not I wouldn't say necessarily really within, but kind of like finding moments of silence and not just I don't even want to call it meditation, but just being in that moment. I don't know if you noticed this, but have you ever seen Eckhart Tolle talk? Have you ever seen him talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you notice, okay, so he's German,
Mhm.
but because he's so present, he actually, and I'm going to use uh, lang- the word, the concept of language acquisition. I don't know if you've heard of this term before. Um, it's a concept that was developed back in the 70s, to term where they rely on storytelling and visual aids, hand movements. So kind of like basically kind of like how nature works, how we use communication as a tool to help us pick up language. But they compartmentalize language as if it's like that's one thing. It is never
Mhm.
separate from real life. There's always
Mhm.
communication in any way you in anywhere you go. There's always communication. Reading this thing, what you see, this your interpretation of something, how you communicate through your senses, what you right now, this, the sound we hear, the feelings we go through, that's communication. The cells communicate all the time. That's communication.
Yeah.
So it's tying back to how when he tries to speak English, you could tell someone's like, it's like he's been here for such a long time. Yeah, because he's
Mhm.
so present. I notice this about
Mhm.
people who are really present. It's like, oh, that's cool. So it's almost like they went through the traditional language studying crap, all that stuff, and they
Yeah,
shifted it so they're no longer doing all that stuff and they're just naturally picking up as time flows in the present. So
that's true.
that's kind of that stuff. So if you feel like you're
Yeah.
mimicking others, don't worry. Just you don't need to reinvent anything. But you can
Mhm.
re-innovate, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
things. Okay, just have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the on a more mundane perspective, like more realistic, you can do things that are more like divination or Akashic records,
Mhm.
more spiritual stuff, channeling. We talked about
Yeah.
that. But again, it's kind of the other things we talked about. That's the more significant ones, the one that is more like towards your freedom,
Mhm.
childlikeness. I wouldn't say necessarily childlike, by the way. I would say like a toddler.
Mhm.
You know how they just sit there, just like yeah, they cry, but that's just a physical function, a physiological thing. It's not. They're not
Mhm.
trying to make the parent worry. That's just a natural function. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope that helps. Let's see. Did did I answer your questions? You said okay. Best. Okay. So yeah. So basically, I've kind of stated how best approach. Best past case. Okay.
Mhm.
Um. Yeah. So I think with the placement of your moon, um, in Aries, trine Chiron, but then Chiron is trine your north node. That's the big one. It's working through the emotional process, the process of emotions, so that it's because remember, yes, emotions fluctuate, but they also moon also represents magnetism.
Mhm.
So when you work through those emotions, or rather, you actually didn't even have to work at it. The one thing that needs work is more of the shadow side of things. Pluto in retrograde here shows me that when you feel powerless, okay, when we feel powerless, at least for me, um, I learned the word fawning. Apparently, I
Mhm.
fawn when I'm powerless. I just kind of sit here. But what people don't realize is when I'm fawning, I'm actually surrendering to that emotion right there.
Mhm.
And most of the time, what happens is anything that I experience, it literally just passes, right? That's
Yeah.
part of the fluctuation thing. So you don't really need to
Okay.
work at anything. You need to surrender to it, and you'll get the answers for that.
Surrender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where you'll become more of that example. You can become that sort of transformative leader where you're not that. It's like again, you remember that? I don't know if you've seen that picture where there's a difference between a manager and a leader. One is telling there's this picture of this guy whipping the
Oh
workers,
yeah.
and then there's this other one like leading them, literally like he's in front, so he's leading them.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feeling. It's that embodiment of being a leader. It's not trying to say I know better
Yeah.
or if I've experienced better, to be more specific. You know, it's that
Yeah.
whole
For
like
sure.
I'm an inspiration. It's a moth to a flame. Be the
Mhm.
flame that's naturally draws in the moths,
Okay.
right? I know that's kind
That's
of still vague. That's kind of it, but inspiration alone won't apparently help. But you need consistency as well. Use your Taurus energy to be like make consistent efforts to work on something, but not work on it. Does that make sense? You're not forcing any sort of outcome. You're just saying, okay, this is where I'm in right now. Okay, so okay, cool. Because usually in the silence, it's usually in the silence,
mhm.
right? Yeah. So, and if you feel
Makes sense.
yourself sometimes slowing down and other people are complaining about it, that's their
Mhm.
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the symptoms of being present is slowing down.
Okay.
So And I hope
Thank you
that
so much.
helps. Let me see if there's another one last thing here. Uh, oh, okay. Um, there is a. Uh, it's okay to work through the ups and downs of the emotions, especially at a more nervous system related thing.
Mhm.
Because I see here Lucifer, yes, your Lucifer is sextile your North Node. What that means to me is that, yeah, he fell, right? But the thing about that is he had the intention of trying to be a light to the world,
Mhm.
but he didn't like authority.
Mhm.
That's this is the symbolism, the analogy of what he went through, the story behind it, right? Is that Lucifer, he's just, oh, he's a devil. It's like, well, but what does that mean? Because
Mhm.
that's what really what that side is. That's the constrictive side, is because there's so much suppression. When you see a child going into, it is shadow work, this, right? So if you see a child like just going like, there's this image I got from this book called The Shadow. It's called, oh, what is it called? They had a Portuguese version of it. The Shadow Effect. It's by
Mhm.
Deepak Chopra, and I'll show it to you. I don't have the book, but it's by Debbie Ford.
Mhm.
There's this one book. She has another book. It's a
Okay.
different type of shadow. Teal Swan is really strong though, but I started with this book. It's The Secret of the Shadow. But that's her name. So
Mhm.
she, along with Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra, created this book where they're talking about the shadow and shadow work. How they made also a kind of a movie about it, where I remember this image of this from that movie where there was a child. The mom just made cookies, and then the child goes like, she grabs all the cookies and she's like, she's so happy about the cookies. It's like, it's all mine kind of thing. But really, but the parent will say,
Mhm.
the wounded parent will say, you greedy little tooth, right? So right away, there's that
Mhm.
label. We accuse that
Mhm.
child, be like, you're greedy. But really, what it is she's just saying, I'm abundant. That's exactly what that energy is. I'm abundant.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
that I'm taking this all for myself. I'm just abundant. And when we are abundant, we learn to share that with others. But the wounded person will react right away and say, you're like, why are you doing this?
Greedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of similar to what I was talking about with Lucifer, right? We right away we say, oh, you disobeyed God. You were against His.
Mm.
Well, why?
Mhm.
Right? That's kind of the thing that you have from your past life. The gifts is asking the why, critical
Yeah.
thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's always a deeper side to it.
Absolutely. So that's the other thing too. So when you go through that, not only shadow, like learning to fail, that's the meaning of Lucifer as well. Learning to fail, learning to fall. You can work through that. But learning to fall isn't like a child again. Um, the baby, the toddler falls. What do? Do they
Mhm.
sit there and wallow? No, they get back up. But that's because they don't have the conditioned mind of like, wallowing in the emotion as if a poor me
Mhm.
kind of thing. That was something that was taught to us.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that we can't work around that. We can, the way I see it is because we live in a human body, um,
Mhm.
we want to heal the past, right? We want to heal that inner child stuff. But not necessarily, it will never be completely healed, and that's okay. Because if you try to heal a cup, if you try to fix a cup that's already broken,
Mhm.
why? It's already broken. That's not what healing is.
Yeah.
Healing is accepting that it's like, oh, it's just broken. It's chipped off.
Mhm.
You can patch it up if you want to, but it'll never be the same. And that's fine. That's what it is. But then after that, from a linear perspective, the goal is to no longer add to the trauma of the past, and then through the present moment, clear the path into a less reactive, more conscious future.
Mhm.
That's the way I see it. So there's a
Okay.
shadow work, and then there's but it comes back again down to presence. Yeah.
To presence.
Yeah.
I get
Surrendering.
it.
That's the
Yeah.
key. That's the key.
That makes
Surrendering. Yeah. So
that makes so much
powerlessness. Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. And you'll find there's a lot of things that you can get into with that, with the energy of that powerlessness. It's, I would say there's something about it. Like, people might think, like, are you in psychology? Are you a therapist? Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
A little bit of everything.
absolutely, right? Embrace everything. Embrace everything. And I think that's it when it comes to the sextiles, I think. 12 degrees. There's something about um, freedom, money as freedom, because it's tied to also like the things that you have fun with. Um, Nemesis is, yes, it's tied to the word nemesis, like enemies, but that's more about, again, the shadow work stuff, right? Any sort of like
Okay.
in sort of antagonism, the whole like, um, especially with the second house, I feel like it's more about trusting. It says you're trusting one's godhood and blessings, right? In due time. See, there's a thing again. In due time.
Mhm.
Um, just being present. Um, it says here moral or legal responsibilities, but what that shows me is that, um, again, response, ability to respond to things that even if they are more earthly, like
Mhm.
money, the law, systems, and all that stuff, it's okay. You can work around that. My friend always says, make the system work for you.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if it doesn't inspire, I say move on to the next thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, there's
Okay.
something about this because it's tied to Sagittarius. How do you feel about Slavic cultures, Eastern Europe?
Not really so familiar.
Okay, because I feel like that because Perun is tied to that. There's something about that. I
Okay.
don't know what it is. I'm not saying we're not talking about places here. I'm just saying that's for another time.
Mhm.
Something about um, the heart, cardiopulmonary, neurologic, genitourinary, and chronic pain. Oh no, those are just the body. Never mind.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah, I think that's just about that. Compensationary damages, punitive damages. No, I don't know. No, that doesn't relate to that. No, it's okay. I think opacity should be the last one. Sorry, 1 second here. Security guards, soldier. That's not really expensive. So, second here. Necklaces. Oh, that kind of ties in with the jewelry stuff, the gemstones we're talking about. Hmm. Shawls and scarves ties in with the knitting and the sewing and the weaving we talked about earlier. I don't know. I feel like when you tried sewing and weaving and also that. Do you work with gemstones? Do you have gems? Do you like gemstones? Right.
Yeah, I do. I collect.
Okay. I feel like that's going to be tied into the work you can do in terms of like on a matter based thing, like physically speaking. There's something about that with the divination and all that stuff. But it'll just help. Because it acts as a kind of conduit. Gemstones act as conduits, or rather,
Mhm.
it also is kind of like a placebo effect in a way. Because if you believe it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I feel like there's something about the weaving. No, not really. No. Keeps going back to the whole healing thing here. Past possessions and valuables. See, jewelry keeps coming up again. Preventative medicine. That's an interesting one. Anti-inflammatory resources, salves, potions, balms, ointments. Hmm. Um, calming music. Hmm. Do you play music? I don't think you have you dabbled in music? What? No. Okay. No, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine. Okay. I think that's about it. Home insecurities. Sorry, I'm such an anal person sometimes.
Oh, no
um.
worries. It's
Okay.
all good.
Yeah. Something to do with the wild again, nature. So that's some kind of what we talked about as well. So you like being out in nature too, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
enjoy
So
nature.
that's an
Hmm.
example as well. Both Taurus and the ram, the bull and the ram are very similar to each other. It's being out in nature. So taking your time, but facing it head on, but in kind of step by step process. So yeah. So so that can explain why you love being hiking. You like hiking. You like mountain climbing as well. Like actual mountain climbing.
Hiking.
Okay.
I haven't done mountain climbing, but hiking for sure. Yeah,
Okay. Or wall
I love
climbing
a
can
good
start.
hike.
Yeah. Or we can start with wall climbing.
Hmm.
I don't know. It might tie in with that passion thing. So, because you get to
Yeah,
travel as well. You get to post it on
yeah.
social media. You can create a business out of it. You can tie that to the spirituality stuff that you're going through the shadow work with being able to read people through psychic abilities, that kind of stuff. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope that helps. Okay. Finally done. Okay. I'm good. um,
Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. If you have any more questions, let me know. I will edit this. You know what? I'll just say goodbye to the video itself, not you, but sorry, I'm gonna
No
close it.
worries.
Okay. All right. So, well, that was a reading. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, questions, comment down below. Connection is very good. It's very helpful for me to kind of figure out like what it is you guys are kind of also looking for. This is particularly for the sitter slash client slash whatever. Um, so many terms for that kind of stuff, but doesn't matter. The point is, um, uh, I hope it helps whoever is going to watch this. Again, if you have any questions, comments, write it down below. Like and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. I hope you also get more insight than expected from it. So I know the readings are quite long, but if you're very patient and you go through it, that'll be, that's, yeah. I hope you get. I can't. I can't. I don't know what's gonna happen, but thank you. I thank you for also uh, contributing to just watching this. That means a lot. So thank you for that as well. I think, stay tuned for a little thing that I'm looking into. So having astrology classes. So I don't know how that's gonna go yet, but I'm looking into the kinks of it. We'll see how that goes. If you like strongly, it's gonna be more like a one-on-one thing. I work often best when it's one-on-one. So we'll see what happens. Just stay tuned. So it might shift. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure out what it is I'm being called to do. So we'll see what happens. So, but yeah. So, anyways, hope to see you guys later. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.